Hey kids, Chapter 4, Human Geography. We're going to get started with these lecture notes. There's 5 sections in Human Geography. There's going to be a lot of notes posted, so make sure you kind of keep up with them. There won't be any quizzes on these until at least Thursday of this week. Today is the 24th, so we're talking about the 26th. We could have start having quizzes on Chapter 4. But this is the Elements of Culture. It's a fairly quick slide. Quick PowerPoint. Hope you like it. Shout out to Moffitt, first period. You need to follow him. It's DMoffitt8 on Twitter. If you don't know, ask him. He wants to be followed on Twitter and Instagram or MySpace or something else. So shout out to Moffitt. Let's get started, shall we? Elements of culture. Culture. Total knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors shared by and passed on by members of a specific group. Culture, obviously a big part of human geography. We act certain ways. Excuse me. We do certain things. We eat certain foods because of our culture, our upbringing, our attitudes toward things, and how we behave. A lot of it has to do with our parents, where we live. All those things play a factor in culture, but this is kind of the big part of human geography, obviously, culture. The total knowledge and attitudes and behaviors shared by and passed by members of a specific group. Factors of culture. Factors of culture, food and shelter, a factor of culture, okay? Foods you eat, types of food are largely based on, what you've been, as a kid, brought up eating. You'll kind of continue to do the same thing. Where you're located has to do with what you eat. And the type of housing obviously has a lot to do with your culture. Here in the United States, most of us will probably be living a little differently than those who are living in the backwoods somewhere or in a region where there is no housing market. Okay, so food and shelter are a factor of culture. Religion, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Daoism, Hinduism, Buddhism, all those affect culture, are a part of culture. A big part of culture is religion. Another deal is your relationship with your family and others. Some places, some people are very tight-knit groups. Other places, they're separate. They're not as tight. So that has a lot to do, it's kind of, again, your upbringing, how you treat your family, how you treat others, part of culture. Language, the alphabet, ASL, which is sign language, Japanese, Chinese, hieroglyphics back in the day, whatever. Language also affects culture. Education, some put more emphasis on it than the others. Here in the United States, we're kind of behind other places, especially China's and Japan's of the world, who are heavily influencing education and separating people as they get a certain age. Some more to the educational route, others to go work. But education is a very important part of culture, how you emphasize it. Security and protection. Some, for us, example, we have heavy security as far as protecting our country, protecting our borders, probably not as much as something. Our president and others, not so much. But again, it has to do with culture, has to do with money used to kind of defend those things, and if it's important enough to you. If it's important enough to you, then it's a big part of your culture. Political and social organizations. Our political parties here in America, the Democrats and Republicans, huge part of culture, your belief system, as well as other places around the world who have that opportunity. Creative expression, as you can see, different places, different creative expression, dances, traditions, celebrations all over the world, unique and specific to that certain cultural group or country based on the past. Society, group that shares a geographic region, a sense of identity and culture. That's a society. You share a certain region, a sense of identity, and a culture. New York, for example, New York City. All right, that is a group that shares a certain region, has a sense of identity different than others around them, and they have a kind of a culture unique to themselves. Okay, that's a society. The South, almost kind of broad, but you can kind of see what I'm saying there. Ethnic groups, a specific group that shares a language, customs, a common heritage, and has an identity separate from the people in the region in which they live. A great example is this right here, Afghanistan. If you can see this, the different groups of Afghanistan. When we think Afghanistan, a lot of people think, well, the Afghans. Well, there's different groups of Afghans. The Pashtuns, Uzbeks, Turkmen, all different groups within Afghanistan. So make sure you understand there's ethnic groups within a country's borders, an area, a part of society, so to speak. Cultures are always changing for the good or bad, depending on, obviously, your view, your traditions, things like that. Innovation is taking an existing technology and resources and creating something new to meet a need. Okay, that's innovation. Creating something new based on, because you have new technology or you have these new resources and you want to make something new and better. Innovation. Diffusion, a word you're going to hear about a lot in Chapter 4. Cultural diffusion is how it's going to be used quite a bit. It's the spread of ideas, inventions, or patterns of behavior. And it's spread by various means. TV, the internet, big time nowadays. Migration, people from moving one place to another. Today it happens instantly. Okay, an example of this, cultural diffusion, or something being spread around, would be the color runs. The color runs that people go to now are kind of based off of a celebration in India. Okay, so those things via the internet and others have spread to all parts of the world where everybody's involved in a color run. We just had one here a few weeks ago. That's diffusion, spread of ideas, inventions, whatever. The cultural hearth is the site where innovation takes place, where ideas, materials, technology, all these things start here and spread out. That place where they started, that's the cultural hearth. Okay, a lot of our beginning cultures, the Indus River Valley civilization, the Nile River, the Tigris, Euphrates, all these cradles of civilization kind of was where all these innovations took place back in the day. Examples of cultural hearth. Acculturation is when a society changes because it's adopting or accepting this new innovation. The example here is wearing jeans. Starbucks, you can see at the bottom of the page here, somewhere in an Arabic-speaking place. Okay, you can find McDonald's in certain places around the world that you didn't used to have them, but they're accepting these new ideas, these new innovations for their own benefit, and that's acculturation. Language allows people to communicate. That should be obvious. There's all types of languages, whether it be spoken, unspoken. It helps establish a cultural identity. Language probably is the most important thing when it comes to cultural identity. Having to be able to speak to each other in your traditional ways. Having that taken away from you or not being able to do it is a big part of losing your culture. Dialect. We should be familiar with dialect. It's changes in speech patterns. So you talk differently than somebody else even though they speak the same language. Us folks down here in Texas speak differently than those folks in the New York City area. Brooklyn, the Bronx. That's my horrible New York accent or dialect. But we speak differently. That's just the way it is. We all have different dialects, and they're funny to us, but we're funny to them. So it all works. It all works the same. But those are dialects. Speaking the same language is a little bit differently. Kind of where you live has a lot to do with that. How can language be diffused or transferred or passed around? Easily. Back in the day, it was trade routes. Trade routes were the big avenue for diffusion of any kind, language, more broadly culture, ideas, whatever. Invention, language being invented, new languages. All you young guys speak different languages nowadays anyway. So that's a way for diffusion. You blend with other languages, and then obviously migration, moving from one place to another. Religion, big part of culture, obviously. It's a belief in supernatural power or powers that are regarded as creators and maintainers of the universe. Okay, 3 types of religion: monotheistic, one God only. You know, you're talking about mono e mono, it's one versus one God. Monotheistic, one God. Polytheistic, many gods. And animistic, a traditional belief in divine forces of nature. Okay, religion is spread through diffusion, converts, stuff like that. The 3 big religions: Judaism's one. We're not going to get into the specifics of it. You can kind of read it. Monotheistic, the holy books of Torah, and the religious centers in Jerusalem. This is one of the major religions of the world. Christianity is the other. Again, monotheistic. The holy books, the Bible, the New Testament's about Jesus Christ. Okay, and Islam is the 3rd big one of the top 3. They're part of the top 3, based on the teaching of Muhammad, the Prophet. It's also monotheistic. The holy book is the Quran. Okay, again, we're not going to get into great detail, but you can kind of see those are the 3 big religions. Others: Hinduism, Buddhism, here we got Confucianism, Taoism, Shinto. Again, we'll get into that later on. Ways of expressing culture: music and dance, man. We all got our types of music, come from different parts of the world. Everybody grooves to their own beat. We all dance a certain way. People dance differently around the world. Nobody dances as good as I do, but that's just the way it is. I got my own dance moves. Theater. Okay, theater reflects a society. Movies reflect society. Different parts of the world. Again, different types of stuff you're going to see. Architecture, painting, sculpture, textiles, which is your type of clothing, blankets, towels, things of that nature. Literature, poems, so on and so forth. All big parts of expressing culture. End of the show. 12 minutes, a little bit longer than I want it to be. Again, there is no quiz on this tomorrow, but make sure you understand what we're talking about here, okay? Highly important. Well, I don't know what just happened. Am I still recording? Am I still recording? I am still recording. Oh, my goodness. Make sure you understand what culture is, okay? Knowledge, attitudes, behaviors shared by and passed on by members of a specific group. Make sure you understand what ethnic group is. There it is. Specific group shares language, customs, and it's part of a group within a group, basically. Innovation, new ideas, taking technology, creating something new from that people need. And diffusion, the spread of ideas and inventions by various means. Okay, you're going to hear these 2 words quite a bit over this chapter, this next 2 weeks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Shout out to Moffitt. Shout out to 2nd period, 3rd period, 4th period, and 7th. Thanks for watching and listening. Nobody has dance moves like me. See y'all.